of Social Media Podcast. Time to hashtag everything. We talk about all the fun, crazy stories on social media. From Instagram to Facebook, Twitter to Tumblr, or probably even Friendster. Join us each week as we explore the quirky side of social media. It's the Golden State Media Concept Social Media Podcast.
It's simple, such a sad song. The one that we rely on to get us.
Good evening, everybody, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm broadcasting to you guys live from Dallas, Texas, and it was so dreary today. It was just dark and overcast, and it's apparently supposed to be getting pretty cold and icing. In Texas, you really never know, so I guess I'm going to have to stay tuned for that. We're all going to have to stay tuned for that. How's everyone doing? How was everyone's Super Bowl Sunday? Even though I'm in Dallas, the one thing I can count on for all of our United States, national, even global listeners, is that we probably, maybe not global, most of our listeners in around the world probably know or have heard of the Super Bowl. We probably, if you listen to a podcast, you probably know what the Super Bowl is, and a lot of our listeners probably tuned in for the Super Bowl. Whether you're a Kansas City fan or a 49ers fan, there was tons of controversy, not only with the game, the score, but the halftime show. So we're a social media podcast. At least this channel is a social media podcast, and so I report, all the social media news that's going on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitter is just flooded with news from the halftime show, as well as Instagram and Facebook, especially my Facebook feed is flooded with angry moms upset that J-Lo and Shakira showed some skin during the halftime show. So that's going to be a majority of what our podcast is about today, the Super Bowl Momtroversy. That's what I've named it. And we're just going to get into that, talk about both parts of the show, Shakira's part and J-Lo's part, and then we're going to get into the finale and what everything kind of meant, because there was a big meaning behind the show that I think a lot of people lost. It was lost on the people who focused more on the aesthetics and what the performers were wearing, and they didn't really, I don't think it dawned on them, okay, there's something deeper here. So we're going to go over, what we saw, what we thought, and then we're going to talk a little bit we'll talk about The Bachelor. Last night's episode was a holy hot mess. And then we'll talk a little bit about, what's going on in the world, and we'll just catch up a little bit. So, I'm Devin, and I'm ready to just give you the scoop. So go get a snack, go get a blanket. If you're multitasking, doing homework, driving, be careful, pay attention to what you're doing, but let's dive in together. So Sunday was big for a lot of people. Whether you're a football fan or a fan of pop culture, the day was full of craziness. Football's huge for people in America, especially people in the South. Probably everywhere, but it seems like the South is a big football-based part of the country. Everything's football and church. For me, however, who I'm not a football fan at all. I'm a football daughter, a football kid. I was raised around football, but it never really, sunk in for me. Not a football fan at all. Couldn't tell you how the game is played at 23 years old, being a football daughter all of my life. I have no idea how you score a touchdown or anything. And, I'm just as good of a person without knowing that. So if you're going to rag on me for not knowing how to play football, then find someone else and don't waste your breath, because I don't care. Hence why I'm on the social media podcast, and also hence why I paid more attention to the halftime show. So Sunday was big for my family. We got together, did a little celebrating, had a killer cake for one of my family members' birthdays, as well as some unicorn ice cream. Don't ask, it's 2020. That's just my excuse whenever something weird comes up. But in the middle of eating our cake and ice cream, while I'm multitasking, trying to get some homework done, the halftime show comes on. And I've actually never sat through the game enough to see the halftime show. I mean, I've caught highlights and glimpses throughout the years, but I never, sat through and waited for it. So whenever I heard that Shakira and J-Lo were going to be performing, it was, I hadn't seen J-Lo in music. I'd seen her in some movies, and Shakira I haven't heard from in a while, but I knew, during Zumba class I danced to Waka Waka, and it's cool. I like them. Big parts of my childhood. That was another initial thought. I was excited because I listened to them when I was young, and it was kind of like a big throwback for me, as well as I'm sure other 20-somethings in the world. But Shakira started us off, and she sang her hit, She Wolf. She opened with that. Really cool song. Nice red outfit, great dancers, and she was very captivating. I definitely paid attention to the whole show, start to finish, because she started it off. So she got through She Wolf, did a little tribute, a little Zeppelin tribute, and then she went into her belly dancing, which was killer. And I think this is when the Momtroversy kind of started. So Shakira's part Lebanese, part Colombian, and so many of the things that she did, including her, meme-worthy tongue roll, which is everywhere. People are using it everywhere right now, whether to poke fun or to be funny. So all of that stuff, the belly dancing, the tongue roll, some of the moves she was doing, they were all attributed to her culture and heritage. And I don't think, some people, you see belly dancing, you automatically think, okay, she's fast or she's easy and stuff. It's like, no. There are actual other cultures in the world. So slow down, Karen. People were offended at belly dancing. And me, I say, look, she's a mom. She's in her 40s. I think she's 43. And she was amazing. Her body was in amazing shape. She hoofed it up there, like dancing and singing and having to keep hitting every mark. And from a theatrical standpoint, it is hard to sing and dance at the same time. So she ended her part with Hips Don't Lie, and I had my cake and ice cream, and I was fist pumping to Hips Don't Lie, and 8-year-old me was living for it. And I completely, whenever I was into it. And then when I saw J-Lo on top of wherever she was on top of something. She wasn't to the pole yet. Was she? I don't think so. She was standing on top of something, like up there, and she said, "Are you ready, Miami?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I'm ready." And I knew she was about to just kick it up. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll get back and go through J-Lo's set whenever we come back from break. So sit here, stay here, and when we get back, I'm going to tell you about one of the first J-Lo CDs my mom and I had in our car permanently for like 4 years of my life. We'll be right back with GSMC Social Media News Podcast.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Among a couple of CDs that my mom had in our car, just like on rotate whenever I was younger, it was this J-Lo CD with the Jenny from the Block song. I don't know exactly which CD it was. It was one of her first ones. She had Beyonce's Crazy in Love, and she had Shania Twain. My mom was hip. My mom was real hip, and she also had Shadazy and a number of other. Tim McGraw, she was very varied, real cool and stuff. And I remember after my parents separated, we were two single ladies on the lam, and we would just, anywhere we'd go, we'd turn the CD on, pump it up, and it was just two girls having fun in life. And so that's why, this time period for me was so memorable, and seeing J-Lo up there just living it up, a mom herself now, because she was young whenever I was young, and she hadn't had her kids yet. She was just kind of coming on the scene, and so that time is important to me, and to see people bashing her and bashing Shakira just makes me upset, especially because we tend to just get mad at anything these days. There's always somebody offended at something. It's cancel culture to the extreme, and it's just exhausting. It's quite frankly exhausting. There's no, the whole, I don't agree with your opinion, but I respect it, is down the drain. And somebody turned on the garbage disposal, and it's just shredded. Because people, you can't disagree with somebody, or you're wrong. But what people don't understand is that right and wrong is relevant. No two people are alike, and no two people have a similar opinion. So it's you can't tell someone, you are wrong. What is wrong and what is right? We can get into that philosophy later. But, okay, so J-Lo started her section with Jenny from the Block and a Get Right mashup. So those were her two, early songs. And then when she ripped her first outfit off, I knew it was about to go down. When she had that silver, she had her second silver outfit on underneath her black, and when she bent over, I could see it, and I was like, what's that about? What's that moment? And she ripped it off, and there went Jenny, and there went, the black outfit, the leather black outfit. Can I tell you, she's 50-something years old, and she's wearing leather, and she looks amazing. Everything. Her hair was beautiful. The smile was beautiful. Her confidence, she was working. And she defied, all laws of gravity with the costume change. I probably looked down at my computer, or looked down to take a bite of cake or something, and I looked back up and she's in silver, and I looked at my family and I was like, what happened? When did she change? And I don't think anyone else really knew either, but she went into this Waiting for Tonight, and she was on the pole. Her outfit, shattered glass, looked like shattered glass, gorgeous, and just let me tell you, that material was thick as hell. You can tell that material was some kind of, you could, mosquito netting on crack. That was thick. It was not going anywhere, not see-through, nude material. Think tights you wear in figure skating material. And I personally know that because I figure skated for a while. But for those of you who don't know, That material is to specifically keep the ice from scraping up your whole body. That stuff is thick. It was not going anywhere. Nothing was going to fly out. Still didn't stop the Momtroversy, but whatever. She went into Waiting for Tonight. Her outfit was gorgeous. And a little anecdote about Waiting for Tonight. The whole reason that I know that song was from the Kidz Bop album. Like one of the first Kidz Bop CDs, either one or two. And they had that song on there as a cover. And that's how I know. Like, it goes back so far for me. And the infamous poll, like, listen. She was on there for 0.3 seconds. And that is one of the most rigorous exercises you can do. So everybody who was sitting on their couch saying, oh my God, take the kids into another room, you're a hater. Like, you're a hater. She's 50-something years old. She's on a poll. And she's doing better than you. And also, she started from the bottom, and if you are a real J-Lo fan and you weren't a hater, then you'd know that she almost turned to stripping, because life is freaking hard. And I'll reiterate this later, but you don't just come to America. For her, she was born. She's Latina, even though she was born in America, but some people still aren't born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Some people still have to work from nothing. And some people have to, almost turn to stripping, which she didn't. But if you knew anything that you were talking about, haters, Karen, Stacy, all of y'all, the moms on the couches with the wine, if y'all knew anything you were talking about, you'd know that she started from the bottom. She started there. It was almost a part of her history. She was on there for 0.3 seconds. So who gives a hoot? And she also just came out with Hustlers, so the same people who are sitting on the couch saying, oh my God, take the kids, were probably the same women who went out to see Hustlers and were like being obnoxious at the theater at 10 p.m. buying another hour from the babysitter. Like, the hypocrisy. But who was that dude? Like, there was a dude that kept coming out there, like, singing and rapping. And I didn't know who that was. I'm pretty sure Bad Bunny's a girl. I didn't know who the dude was. So, that was what I was thinking the whole time. And can we talk a little bit about Demi Lovato? Just do a little backtrack. So, she sang the opening to the Super Bowl. And Demi Lovato, a week or so ago, at the Grammys, because she's not a movie TV star. At the Grammys, she sang a song called Anyone, which is now topping the charts. And she had written it just 10 days before her overdose, and totally moved people to tears, moved people to a standing ovation and stuff. And she opened the Super Bowl. So that's 3 amazing, fierce, powerful Latina women. History. Like, that's history. Honestly. Just amazing. When we come back, we're going to get into the finale. So J-Lo had her daughter come up on stage with her and sing, Emmy, and it was beautiful. Brought just chills all over my body. And we're going to get into, what was meant by some of the choices, during the show. Was lost on a couple of you, obviously. And then we'll get into the choreography and the finale just of her and Shakira coming back. And then we'll get into the Bachelor news, and a little bit of that drama. So stay right here with us on the GSMC Social Media Podcast. We'll be right back with you in a couple of minutes.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
So J-Lo had her daughter come in at the end of the scene for Let's Get Loud. And so her daughter came in and sang the beginning of the first bit of the song. And at first I was like, who's this girl? She looks like J-Lo. And then my friend, who is a proud Latina woman, because I was texting her, I think she was at a party or something. She said, I can't hear it. What's going on? And I said, girl, this is so good. She's Puerto Rican, proud, strong Puerto Rican. It's my best friend. And I said, you have to watch this. You need to rewind it. You need to watch it. So J-Lo's daughter came up and she was singing a little solo. And then I was like, okay. I didn't know it was her daughter at the time. And then J-Lo came on and she said, Latinos, let's get loud. I'm going to live my life. And I was like, okay, it's Let's Get Loud. And I don't know why, but that moment gave me chills. And something about Shakira, it was definitely with the flag. At some point, when her daughter was finished singing, J-Lo came out with this flag on her back, and it was like the American flag, and then I figured out later on the other side it was the Puerto Rican flag because J-Lo is Puerto Rican. And that's when I was like, girl, did you see this? Texting my friend. And I, tears came to my eyes. I felt so stupid. I had my cake in one hand and, my ice cream, and I was trying not to, tear up and stuff because it was totally out of place. My family was just, watching the Super Bowl. And surprisingly, my family is this side of my family is surprisingly conservative, and no one said anything about the outfits. I was with a group of males, so that might have something to do with it. But if they didn't notice anything, the women just constantly surprise me, and this made me tear up just seeing her address the Latinx community and saying I'm going to live my life. And I thought for that moment, my heart broke because it's she's representing all of the stuff that's been going on at the border and saying, I'm going to live my life. I was born here. I have a right here, and screw you if you're going to try and tell me, that I don't belong, because America is the land of the free. Am I wrong? Women and minorities literally have the hardest time in this country. And this is what frustrated me to the point to where I was just fed up after the Super Bowl. It wasn't even an hour after the Super Bowl that all of these things started flooding in about being provocative and whatever. And it's do not take their success away from them. They did something amazing. They were strong, they were fierce, they were powerful. They sang and they danced, and they represented their heritage. They did amazing. And they're women, in their 40s and 50s. This is crazy. And just seeing them both, Shakira was an immigrant, and J-Lo rose from literally nothing, on Living Color, to having an album, to being in movies, to being the first Latina woman to break a bunch of barriers. And it's don't take that away from them. Just because you can't see past your white privilege goggles. At a certain point after she got into Let's Get Loud, the choir of kids came on, and they were in these light-up cages. And this is something, again, a lot of people missed. And at this point, it's not right versus wrong. It's not who's wrong, who's right. It's like, these kids, like, this is mirroring what's going on in the world. This all was happening, and J-Lo and Shakira were representing the kids. All of the kids were Latina, it appeared so. And it was just, it gave me chills. They were so talented, all of the kids, and being both women of color and women in general, y'all. Like, if you can't see the symbolism behind all of this, and you're only focused on their bodies, then you are the problem. Like, you are the problem. It was incredible. Every second, from the aesthetics to the choreography. Every angry mom out there is just wishing she were J-Lo, I guarantee you. But there's a note from little old me. Just because you had kids doesn't mean you had to sign your life away and stop caring about yourself. Like, that's on you. These ladies are living proof of it. And for every woman saying that J-Lo is trashy for being a mother on a pole, get off your high horse, Stacey, because J-Lo is a strong Latina woman who had to work her way to the top, almost turning to stripping for money because she wasn't handed anything, and people can't see past their privilege, but give them a half-naked Adam Levine and they'll shut up. Like, I'm done with this. It was intense. It brought me to a different place. I shed tears. I'm not even a Latinx, and I shed tears. I was proud to be in the country for 15 minutes. And then I thought to myself, dang, a halftime show is only 15 minutes. I know, it shows you I'm an actual football daughter. Also, can we just stop body shaming women for one freaking minute? Especially other women. And this was pretty interesting to me because it was only the irate mothers that were sharing this stuff. And it's like, I saw nothing from the dudes. And that's probably why they were mad. You know, you see a woman on a pole and it's like, Sharon, like, go get to the gym. Go take some pole dancing lessons. It's a great exercise. Like, stop being mad. Don't be jealous. Jealous isn't a good color on anyone. You know, like, and it drives further the point of, like, previously, last year's Super Bowl was Adam Levine taking his shirt off, and his pants were hanging so low you could see that V, you know? And no one said anything. This wasn't a headline at all. Nothing. Not a headline. Not a single tweet. Nothing. Nothing controversial about a half-naked man. Yet you have a woman belly dancing or, like, God forbid, crumping an ethnic dance in a leotard that's still covering all of her bits and pieces. And the internet, most specifically other women, go off saying that she's trashy, she's slutty, you don't need to be stripping on live television. It's like, okay, well, Madonna sang Like a Virgin, and Michael Jackson did a whole bunch of other crazy stuff. Like, Janet Jackson popped out a whole boob, and we're all fine. And we're all living for this right now. So, go sit down or go to another room. Like, I'm done with it. Alright, when we get back, we got some Bachelor news. I'll just recap the last episode real quick, and 3 hours. 3 hours long. The tweets, crazy. The drama, crazy. Girl, there were tears. I still live tweeted, honey. And we get more on Wednesday. Like, this, it's not over yet. I had a major headache towards the end. It's just, this is the craziest group of women I feel like have been on this show. Like, whenever Chris Harrison says, like, this is the most dramatic season of The Bachelor yet, like, I believe it this time. And I don't know, we're only not even halfway through. Like, where is it going to go from here? It's just, it's crazy chaos. And I feel like Peter should just quit while he's ahead. But we'll recap and we'll get back into it. So stay right here with us. We'll be right back with your Bachelor news.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Okay, sweet baby Peter. He is not good at this at all. You know how, like, every office or every job, even in school or class, you have that person that you're just like, how did you make it past age 5? Like, I saw you photocopy your butt cheeks in the office. Like, that's this guy. He is not built for this TV show. And he kind of is just winging it, you know? And every single opportunity for him to make a decision, he does the exact opposite of what he's supposed to do. He's bad at being the bachelor. You know, it's bad. I'm missing Juan Pablo just for the sheer entertainment factor and the fact that Juan Pablo was a major D-bag. But so Peter's kind of likable, and that makes it harder for us. Because Juan Pablo, you want him to crash and burn, but Peter is just a sweet guy, and he's a windmill on fire right now. Spoiler alert, he canceled another cocktail hour. I think this is like the third one. So after bringing Alea back, he ended up eliminating her again because it was too much. People just kept coming up to him saying she's starting drama and he can't stand the idea of anyone being unhappy with him. So instead of, you know, making his own decision, he just said, it's just too much. After I gave you a rose, I'm going to take your rose away and you're going to go home. And then so he went on a little one-on-one with Sydney, the kind of foil to Alea, and out of all 12 girls, he told her to her face, he said, you're the best kisser. Don't tell anyone that. So I'm sure that's going to come up later. But we'll get into that. So at the beginning of the 3-hour episode, the girls are still in Cleveland. Everyone is freaking out because Alea has come back. And Natasha says that Alea has made her bed and she needs to Alea in it. So, you know, we have got off to just a great start. So what does Peter do? He sends Alea home because it's just too hard. But what should he have done? He should have told everyone that if they really had a problem with him bringing her back to the house, then they should pack up their bronzer and heels and leave, because he needs to, you know, make his own decisions and watch none of them leave, because they're all there for a rose and Instagram followers. So after the attempt at a cocktail party, Madison, Sydney, Natasha, Lexi, Hannah Ann, Cheyenne, McKenna, Victoria P., Kelly, and Tammy all get roses. Deandra's mouth is like wide open because she confronted him and told her that he was feeling the relationship, but can't have someone not like him in every waking moment. So he really just sucks at drawing boundaries or expressing things without either being totally fake or being all in. So after the rose ceremony, Peter announces that the girls are going to Costa Rica. So bye Cleveland, hi Costa Rica. And the literal greatest comedic moment of this episode, and this is how I knew we were at the peak of the season, Peter smashing his head into the golf cart. Actually, smashing his head open because he walked into the golf cart and smashed his head on his drink. And it wasn't just enough to show, you know, him with the Band-Aid that made him look like Frankenstein. They showed the actual security footage. This is like The Office level embarrassing. Hitting your head on a golf cart, but then smashing your tequila soda right into your head and slicing it open. Like, that's pride. Okay, so the one-on-one date, Sydney gets it. He takes her in a helicopter. he says he thinks she's mysterious and sexy, uses the night portion of the date to get her to open up to him, and she laments about growing up as a biracial kid with a single mom, saying that people would vandalize their home and bully her. Interesting enough, a tweet came out later that showed her being a homecoming queen and voted like most prettiest of her school. So, big tears for Big Liars. The group date this week was Cheyenne, Kelsey, Victoria F., Madison, Natasha, Victoria P., Lexi, Hannah Ann, Tammy, and McKenna. And they headed out for the group date. And the group date was a cosmopolitan bikini fashion shoot where the winner got to do a cover shot with Peter. So this is like the best way to show that you're a fun, fearless female and a future hot mom, apparently. Victoria F. ended up winning the group date and posed with Peter for the cover shot, but she got her cover taken back because she posed in a White Lives Matter t-shirt ad. And that does not make you a Cosmo girl in 2020. That cover will never see the light of day. And we'll get more into that when we come back. So stay here with us and we'll get you that drama in a couple of moments after this advertisement.
Always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. Jordan and Keith is Entertainment Tonight meets Access Hollywood.
I'm Jordan. The guy laughing, that's Keith.
Yeah, I'm Keith.
An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
You might remember sweet, sassy Victoria F. from like the second episode where they had to do the runway fashion show, and she went on about being so shy and then wore freaking lingerie on the end of the catwalk under her dress and ripped it off and like stole the show. After her, I didn't like her in the beginning, but then after the Chase Rice debacle and her being honest, I kind of came around and I started to like her a little bit. That train derailed very quickly. So I figured this out a couple of weeks back. Probably contributed to me not liking her. And I guess I kind of forgot about it in the back of my mind. So Victoria F., in this Cosmo shoot, the girls were all in bikinis, of course, because what else would you put a girl in? That was a joke. That was actually a really big joke. Bad joke. It's not like they have brains. They were all in bikinis. The Cosmo director, Jessica Pels, told them, choose your favorite bikini. We're going to shoot you for the March edition, and then whoever is best, I'm going to choose. And you're going to have a cover with Peter and an insert. And you're going to be, rah-rah. Like, you're going to be the winner. Chicken dinner. And so Victoria F. actually pulled out all the stops. And you should have seen the look on Hannah Ann's face. The fact that she did not win a challenge was just the worst for her. Kind of a good thing to see. Maybe that makes me mean, but it was kind of fun. However, shortly after this episode came out, there was a Twitter headline that said Victoria F. will never see the light of day, and her Cosmo cover will never see the light of day. And strangely enough, this little, tidbit that we'd all figured out a couple of months ago had resurfaced. And that was that Victoria F. modeled in a White Lives Matter campaign for whatever, marlin fishing or something. Like, it was White Lives Matter for Marlin Lives Matter, the organization, and it was like Confederacy-inspired clothing which aimed to educate the public on overfishing for white and blue marlin, but it was literally the worst tagline possible. It was White Lives Matter. And in my opinion, the nature of the organization is neither here or there. Like, it looks bad. And basically, that's what Jessica Pell said. Both phrases and the belief systems that that organization represents is just not cutting it for the magazine. They're rooted in racism and are therefore problematic. And so the people in the group dates, their photos were included in the magazine's print in March, but ultimately what felt right was choosing not to publish the digital cover because it just doesn't stand for Cosmo and what they believe in. And I say good on her. Victoria F. is the biggest scam of The Bachelor and her fake confidence issues. That's what I thought. A racist, and she slept with her best friend's husbands. Yikes. That's Sammy Bazammy on Twitter. That was a tweet from her. So later on in the episode, after the Cosmo shoot, a whole bunch of drama unfolded between Tammy and Kelsey. And Kelsey, you might remember from Champagne Gate. She was the girl who cried over the champagne and then opened the champagne in her own face, which, like, made America fall in love with her. So Tammy was the aggressive Asian girl who did MMA. I never liked Tammy. She came off a little bit too strong for me. And she really showed her true colors last night. Throughout the episode, Tammy just had always had it out for Kelsey. And she confronted Kelsey several times, saying that she was over-emotional and a drama queen and mentally unstable. And eventually it came out, that people were saying these things about Kelsey. She didn't know it was Tammy at the time and went to Peter to try and clear her name. And this poor girl, I mean, she's dramatic as hell, yes. But she seems to like him. Like, she seems, if it weren't for these catty girls, like, she seems like she actually cares and would actually want to end up with Peter. And Tammy was just going around, like, saying that she's an alcoholic and she was popping pills. And so Kelsey finally figured out about, what she was doing. And she said straight to her face, like, tell me who it was. And all the girls said it was Tammy. And so they had kind of like a moment and a blow up, and then everyone turned on Tammy, and Kelsey ended up getting a rose. Tammy ended up getting a rose. All Bachelor fans were shocked and mortified because nobody liked Tammy anymore after she kind of showed her true colors. And it's kind of just becoming like, as Kelly put it, the smart lawyer woman, Peter just rewards drama. And that's what, is happening. It seems like not only is Peter weak and spineless, but he's just going for the problematic women. I'm surprised he even kicked Alea off, but it seems like this is the most dramatic group of women, and he's just feeding into it and feeding into it and feeding into it, and if somebody complains about someone else, he just gives them a rose to pacify them. A lot of people are, getting sick of watching the same thing over and over again. And McKenna, I cannot stand her. So many times, she told Kelsey that, or everyone's like telling Kelsey that she's out of control and she can't control herself. But McKenna cries like every 30 seconds. She is like a little girl, and what was she doing with her tongue? Like, there was tweet after tweet after tweet after tweet, because I do live tweet, it's fun for me, of, like, her, like, licking her, she was licking her lips, like, in every shot, and it was just so weird. But she just comes off really immature. Nobody likes her anymore. She cries too damn much, and she licks her lips too much. And this, when I think about that, it's like, it brings me to thinking back whenever we had Jason Mesnick's season, which I'm watching concurrently, we had, like, Jillian, and who's an interior designer, and we had, who's the runner-up? We had Molly, and then we had the problematic one who he dumped. They all had, like, lives. Like, they were all smart and educated, and we used to have, like we have Kelly, she's a lawyer, and then we used to have doctors and teachers and well-rounded people, and now we have, like, 22, 23-year-old people, and it just keeps getting younger and younger and younger. And, like, I don't want to watch a bunch of Instagram model influencers go on to compete for some guy's rose, like, when they're really not into it to begin with. Like, The Bachelor is not what it once was, but everything that went down with Kelly, people are hoping, like, okay, maybe she'll be the next Bachelorette, because she's way too smart for this show. She sat down with Peter on their one-on-one, and they went and did this, like, ethnic cleansing festival, or some kind of ancient tradition. And I think the part where everyone was like, okay, this isn't going to work, is whenever there were 2 candles, and they were like, the people were lighting the candles and, like, saying, okay, the candles are going to tell us how you guys feel about each other. And when they lit Kelsey's candle, it was super strong, and then Peter's wasn't, and Peter said, like, why is your candle telling me that you don't like me? And I was like, if that's not me, I swear. Like, taking the most mundane things and just being so immature about it. And he just basically told Kelly, like, I don't feel like you're into me. I feel like our flame has kind of died off. And he's like, where have you been? You have to, like, insert yourself. And she just tells him to his face, like, you're not giving me time to do that. You're wasting time on these dramatic girls, Alea and Kelsey and whoever the beginning was, Hannah Ann and Kelsey. And she's saying, so I've been in the corner because you've been, like, sometimes I question if you're mature enough for me. And girl, like, she put him in his place, and she basically told him, like, you only reward the dramatic girls. You've canceled, like, 2 out of 3 of the last rose ceremonies. I can't really put myself in there if you don't give me a chance to. And I think collectively America was like, we want you to be our next Bachelorette. Like, I want to see her as the next Bachelorette because she would bring something to the show that hasn't been there in years. Like, an actual living, breathing, smart person that is not just on there to, like, further their career in marketing, you know? Like, Kelly seems down to earth. She has a good head on her shoulders. And she told him up and down the wall, sideways and backwards and frontwards. And I think it would have been probably smart of Peter to stop there, stop the cameras, cut the cameras. But we all know that she's going to end up getting sent home. I know that because I know she's not a front runner. Like, I know who the top 3 are. Because she's too good for it. She knows the game. She probably isn't what she wants anymore. She wasn't expecting this, which is sad because, actually, it's not sad. She's probably too good for him. All right, when we get back, we're going to do some housekeeping, just going over what we know, what's in the news. Charli D'Amelio met J-Lo, her idol, at the Super Bowl on Sunday. Channing Tatum and Jessie J are back together. And Harvey Weinstein's nudes were passed around a courthouse today. So we're going to take a little break, and then we'll get back into some of that when we get back. So stay here with us on the GSMC Social Media News Podcast.
The GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
reading this whole long expose about the latest in the Harvey Weinstein case. And usually, assault trials and stuff like that just really rub me the wrong way and trigger me. I don't like reading about them. I get up in arms whenever I realize, okay, sexual assault is still a thing. That is still a thing. It just boggles my mind that humans treat each other that way still. And but this one I read it wasn't so bad. It was actually kind of funny, and I feel bad saying that. But the reason why it was funny was because this Harvey Weinstein trial has been going on forever. For those of you who don't know, in the Hollywood circle, there are women who have come out saying Harvey Weinstein has sexually assaulted me, abused me, or, coerced me into sexual acts. And so his trial is now on. His main accuser, Jessica Mann, has been on trial, fighting for a couple of weeks. And today, this headline caught my eye. It was jury, something like jury has to look at nude pictures of Harvey Weinstein. I said, what in the world? So apparently, Harvey Weinstein doesn't have testicles, and this is what Jessica Mann testified. And so basically, big glossy prints of his just naked body were tossed around the courtroom, and I guess to save his face that they weren't electronically transmitted, but that's still bad. That's embarrassing. They said that they were trying to do the hard copies so that they didn't embarrass them. That wasn't his intention to embarrass them. But this is what Jessica Mann testified. And she testified that she was assaulted. So I guess to figure out if she was lying or not, they had to go off her word that he looked deformed, under there. Pretty embarrassing, though. I feel like going through all of this for him is atonement, because he's just sitting there on trial and people are looking at his nudes, basically. It's rough to read and rough to probably live through. But I'm not saying that he deserves a pass or not jail time for assaulting someone. I'm just saying it's probably pretty embarrassing. Jessie J and Channing Tatum are back together. And back whenever they first broke up, I didn't even know that they were together until I found out that Channing Tatum was on this special app. I forget the name of it now, but it was this exclusive celebrity app. I did a podcast on it a little bit ago, one of my very first podcasts a month ago or something. And it's this really exclusive app, and that's how I found out they were even together. And why is she the same type as Jenna Tatum? Literally, very strong woman, strong face. But she's a singer, I guess that's different. And Jessie J has some pipes. I'm very surprised that Jessie J isn't bigger than she is. She has Demi Lovato, Hayley Williams pipes. I don't know why she doesn't have more clout and stuff, but they're back together. Weird pairing for me a little bit, I think. So in the more, social media TikTok area, Charli D'Amelio apparently met her idol, J-Lo, at the Super Bowl. And Charli D'Amelio is super famous on TikTok for being a dancer and doing those, dances where with your hips and stuff, those weird TikTok-y teen dances. But apparently she really looks up to J-Lo because Charli D'Amelio is an actual bona fide dancer, and she has been for most of her life. And so she met J-Lo at the Super Bowl and got to do and film a TikTok, one of those TikTok challenges with J-Lo and all of her background dancers. And she wrote that not only has she followed J-Lo and has J-Lo been at the top of her dream board or at whatever you her vision board for her whole life, but she also followed many of J-Lo's dancers because they're such well-known established people. So, and she said, I didn't know a couple of months ago, even a year ago, that I'd be where I am today. I was a nobody, and now I'm at the Super Bowl meeting my idol. So how cool is that? Maybe TikTok can make all of your dreams come true. Alright guys, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for listening. with us every week. Like, what can I say? Thank you for coming back every week and listening to our channels. Some awesome channels to check out: GSMC Travel, GSMC Entertainment News, GSMC TV. We have channels for everything, and we love interacting with our listeners. So drop us a comment. Follow us on our Twitter at I Live Tweet the Bachelor. And if you liked our content, leave a comment on our Facebook. We like to know what you guys like. Let us know what you liked, what we can do better. And yeah, we want to keep in contact with you. Thanks for listening again, and we'll see you guys on Sunday.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Social Media Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.